r/AskReddit, Bridesmaids/groomsmen of Reddit, what's the most ridiculous request you had to endure for the couple's big day? Got asked to stand up for a wedding during culinary school for a high school friend. She said she didn't want us to buy presents, but wanted us to help with various wedding things since it was a backyard wedding, like someone help with the flowers, another do favors, table setting, etc. She wanted to know if I could help with dinner. I said sure, and asked her what she wanted help with, figuring it was prep work for someone else to do. No, she wanted me to handle the whole dinner, as in cooking for 200 people. As a 19-year-old having only done a year culinary school, she also wanted me to help pay for the food I'd be making, as their gift. She wanted me to make Caesar salad, potatoes au gratin, and roast enough ducks for 200, by myself, and pay for about half of it. I was learning how to be a pastry chef. I explained and she just stared at me blankly. I told her I could do the cake easily enough, but she insisted she wanted a real cake, from a bakery. I told her there wasn't any feasible way I could do it, not only because that's crazy, but because I literally wasn't trained to do it, and I got disinvited from the wedding. They apparently served bagged salad, boxed potatoes and roasted chicken from Walmart. The groom asked me to keep an eye on his tux for signs of dandruff. He had a bad case of it at the time. I told him to choose a light-colored tux, but the bride insisted the guys wear black, a color that, of course, showed every particle of dandruff. So I placed a small brush in my pocket, and every so often would dust him off as discreetly as possible throughout the day. My friend decided to get married at a resort in Aspen. We don't live in Colorado and he wasn't offering to pay for flight, hotel, tux, etc., for anyone except him and his wife. They were broke 23-year-olds just like us. Neither parents had the money either. It was a noon wedding and a 2-hour reception immediately following. That's it. Everyone fly home. The bride and groom didn't even stay the night. He got so mad at me when I told him we won't be able to make it. 5 years later he still doesn't talk to me. Outdoor wedding with no backup plan on the shores of Lake Michigan. Pouring rain and wind, but the happy couple requested no umbrellas because they wanted to be able to see the faces in the crowd. They were able to see the very wet and angry faces of people whose clothes were ruined while the bride and groom stayed dry under the gazebo. Bridesmaid to my sister. She demanded that I grow my fringe, bangs, out months before because quote I don't want anyone's hair blowing in the wind. It all has to stay perfectly still. Also, I'm quite pale so she insisted I had to wear fake tan. I originally bought a pale tan color but the morning of the wedding she made me pile it on. It was pretty hot that day so subsequently, it stained my pale pink dress. Was still an amazing wedding regardless. Also, I like to think that when I get married I have 2 ridiculous request cards. 2 things she has to do and I'll bring up her wedding if she refuses. I was a bridesmaid and my so was a groomsman, and we were banned from looking at, speaking to or dancing with each other for fear of outcuting the happy couple. We'd been together for 5 years at this point. We didn't do it, but the request alone was outrageous. Edit. Thank you everyone for all the kind words and support on these comments. No one has ever had my back over all this and it really means a lot. Thanks Reddit brothers. My sister just came home from a weekend trip to Miami that the bride demanded she attend. Why Miami, you may ask? To get drunk and spend time in the sun and party all night? Apparently not. She forced her bridal party to go to Miami, on their own dime, to go to some spas, and be in bed by 10. She also only booked 2 hotel rooms with 1 bed each, for 8 women. I advised my sister to get some better friends. In college I was a best man for a wedding where the bride demanded we all wear designer suits. I had to sell a guitar to afford just the rental. I had no money before, and after I had no money and 1 less guitar. Then at the reception the groom pulled me aside and told me it was my job as best man to make sure their marriage went well. I was supposed to check in and help them with marriage stuff to make sure they didn't get divorced. I looked him in the eye and said I can't be responsible for your marriage. He didn't talk to me from that second until just a couple months ago. 6 years after his wedding. $500 pants. After I refused the bride freaked because it made the wedding party uneven. Groom bought my pants. I wore them once, they divorced. He seems a lot happier with his new wife. I was the maid of honor. She demanded I come pull weeds out of her parents' yard a day or 2 before the wedding because the reception was at her parents' house. I had already gone through multiple ridiculous requests the week leading up to the wedding, so this one I put my foot down and said no. Got through the wedding. No longer friends. She did send a gift when I got married. A centerpiece from her wedding, that I had helped make. Edit. Wow, I am getting a ton of messages for something I worded very poorly. So let me just apologize again really quick for making that comment. My intention wasn't to be sexist, even though that is how it was worded. I apologize, and I'll definitely do better next time. I was supposed to be a bridesmaid in a wedding of a male friend. I had tried to befriend the bride because the groom was a childhood friend. All of the planning leading up to the big day was a total shit show, and she used our wedding chat to constantly discuss all of her problems with the groom. Ring was too small, they never talked about finances before getting engaged, and now she's not sure he makes enough. Can you get a prenup for children you don't have yet? Constantly telling us we were bad friends. Keep in mind we are all friends with the groom for many years before she was in the picture. I could write a novel about it. The final straw for me was when she asked me to plan a bachelorette party, but couldn't tell me anything about what she was interested in doing. Clubbing versus spa day versus beach trip, etc. Other than nothing too wild, but definitely cost effective. And when I presented her with her plan, told me I was a terrible friend and that was the worst bachelorette plan she had ever seen. I was replaced as a bridesmaid, did not attend the wedding, and do not speak to either of them anymore. My best friend asked me to dye my hair from blonde to brown, because her other bridesmaids all had brown hair and she wanted to be the only one with blonde hair. She did pay for me to get it done at a professional salon, so I didn't mind too much, and her photos did look amazing after. However, I definitely have a few friends who thought I was crazy for agreeing to that request. The bride bought us all earrings to wear on the day. I was met with a blank look when I told her the holes in my ears were closed over a while ago. So one of the other bridesmaids, who happens to have quite a weak stomach for this kind of thing, and I went into the other room and re-pierced my ears. Edit. It was years ago in the morning of, and I was in my early 20s at the time. I'm pretty sure it'd be a different outcome if I was asked to do it today. I'm from Asia and I went to college in US. I was shocked when I found out that bridesmaids there have to pay for their own dresses. So if the bride told you to wear the specific dress from Vera Wang, you actually had to pay for it yourselves? And I think plane tickets, edit, for bridesmaids and groomsmen, are also not provided if it's a destination wedding. It's so bizarre. It was my wife who was one of the bridesmaids. The couple was way oversexed or trashy, I'm not sure which, but they wanted the entire wedding party to do a group pic in just their lingerie/boxers, except the bride and groom. Of course, she noped out of that, but apparently the other two girls and the groomsmen went for it. They still did the pic anyhow. Then they wanted the groomsmen and maids to pair up and kiss for a picture. None of them knew each other. Apparently she was the only one who didn't. Then they basically shamed her for opting out of both of those to the point she came and found me crying. So we went home. I don't know that this is ridiculous or that I endured it, but I was asked to be the maid of honor. I'm a dude, a manly dude. She didn't really have any female friends, at least none she could count on, as her bachelorette party proved. We settled on the term bridesnave. It was a beautiful wedding. Edit. Holy frijoles, I've never gotten more than like 8 upvotes before. A slight twist to the question. I'm the bride. I had told people my wedding date almost a year ago. One of my friends messages me a few months ago asking me if I could change my wedding date, cause another of her friends just set her wedding date for 3 weeks before. She told me it'd be great if she could attend both of our weddings in one trip,